Algebra 1, Lesson 14, Algebraic Word Problems. There are going to come times when you take any math or science course that you are expected to take your knowledge about how to solve equations and use them to help you solve certain types of word problems. I know, doing word problems could be a challenging task, but it is necessary to be able to get through them so that you know that your understanding of how to work with equations is solid. Here's a couple of tips for solving word problems that require you to set up and use equations. 1. Extract the numerical information. Even though they are word problems, they contain numerical values that you need to use to set up the proper equations. It is important to set that information aside so you know what the known values are. 2. Locate the relevant variables. If the word problem states a quantity that is unknown, then most of the time that is a variable that you need to make sure is represented in the equation. 3. Set up the equation by translating the language in the word problem to a mathematical language. Make sure that when you're setting up the equation that you're on top of your reading comprehension. If I say, I have 5 apples and 2 oranges, how many fruits do I have? You will have to comprehend the fact that both apples and oranges are fruits, which means in this example they are like terms. So you would add the 5 and 2 together and conclude that I have 7 fruits. The word problems we are going to work on will be more complicated than that last quick example. But if you identify the numerical values and unknown numerical values, all you need is a little logic and reading comprehension to set up the right equations and use the tools you learned in the previous lessons to solve them. Example 1. Jerry is 6 years younger than 5 times the age of Tom. If Tom is 10, how old is Jerry? This is a typical age word problem. The main idea is to try to translate the word problem into an algebraic equation and then solve it how we usually solve equations. This is one of the easier ones because we only need to find Jerry's age and already know Tom's age. We can write Tom's age as t and Jerry's age as j, then write the following equation. J equals 5, t minus 6. Since we know t is 10, we simply plug it in and evaluate the expression. So, j equals 44, meaning that Jerry is 44 years old. Problems like these can be confirmed by using simple logic, but it is important to build the foundations here for more difficult word problems. Example 2. Simon is 14 years older than Ned. In 8 years, he'll be twice as old as Ned is now. How old is Simon now? This problem is going to take a little bit more setup, but the basics should still apply. First, let's define Simon's age as s, and Ned's age as n. So let's write our first equation. S equals n plus 14. This equation shows that Simon is Ned's age plus another 14 years. Our next equation is the equation for Simon's age, 8 years in the future. S plus 8 equals 2n. So now we have our present age equation and our future age equation for Simon. If we isolate the s on the future age equation, we'll get s equals 2n minus 8. Now we can make a third equation with only one unknown variable, n. n plus 14 equals 2n minus 8. Subtracting 2n from both sides and subtracting 14 from both sides to isolate the n variable, we have minus n equals minus 8 minus 14, which simplifies to minus n equals minus 22. Finally, dividing both sides by minus 1 will give us n equals 22. So, Ned is 22 years old in the present time. The problem asked us to find Simon's present age, so we go back to that equation and plug in 22, and we get that Simon is 36 years old. Final example. Yes, this is not over yet. Use the previous equations in the last example to find out Simon and Ned's ages, 8 years in the future. Pause the video to work on the problem, and the answers will be on the next part. So, to answer that last question, we simply add 8 to their present ages. You will notice that Simon's future age is 44, which is twice Ned's current age of 22. So, it looks like we did the problem correctly. Always go back and make sure that your answers logically make sense in these types of word problems. If you find yourself getting negative ages for answers, then you know you messed up and need to go back and fix some things. Problems like these will have varying levels of difficulty and setup, but once you get enough practice, you will begin to build more confidence when doing them. See you in the next lesson.